Gallery, an exhibition of artworks that play with, capture, manipulate, and affect our emotions. And we are joined by the Jetsons-clad curator of the show, Bob Tavani. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Andrew. How are you?
I am fine.
Good.
I'm so emotional. Yes, Jetsons. Well, you're wearing kind of a...
clad. Oh, Jetsons clad. Okay,
Yeah,
my
right.
red shirt. All
the
right.
red shirt with the zipper thing, and like I'm expecting your wife and child to come by to pick you up in a saucer.
I just
in a
need
little bit.
Hasbro or whatever his name was.
Well,
Loco, I don't know.
Loco, with or without Hasbro, a show that some might find pleasantly and sometimes disturbingly loco, is Emotional. How would happen?
Emotional. Actually, you're pronouncing it pretty well. I wanted the E almost to seem like a scream.
Motional.
Exactly, and then motional. Right, and originally, Emotional was going to be a sort of expressionistic and kinetic, no-holds-barred sort of fiasco.
Yeah, but hadn't that been done?
It probably had been done, and, you know, I just didn't want to do it again. I don't know, maybe it hasn't been done.
So
But
instead...
So instead, I went with this sort of anticipatory,
so great. Yes.
anticipatory way of conveying emotion and motion, and the whole exhibit is about the anticipation, work that anticipates motion and or emotion by eliciting emotional responses, and motion by suggesting things that can move, images of things that that move normally, or things.
And so did you cast a net around artists that you already knew and then either show them scary pictures or put them in fast-moving cars? Or did you look at works that were already made and see if they would fit into the show?
Most of the works were already made, although we do have a couple of site-specific pieces. One by two Chicago artists, one by Design and one by Sunny Venice.
And why don't we come to those works in a minute? Let's just try to give an example of ways emotions are evoked artistically. You've got some of the actual court drawings from the Timothy McVeigh Oklahoma City bombing case. And
That's right.
how do they fit into your thesis?
You know, a lot of people come in and think those drawings are appropriated, that they're not real for some reason. I'm not sure why. But these drawings really are one of the entries that really epitomize the show, in that, first of all, they are artworks. They are, you know, just drawings. And secondly, they do have to do with such an emotional event. So even though they are just pencil and marker on paper, they are such powerful images. They can evoke so much motion and emotion from the viewers.
What motion do they evoke?
Well, the artist, Art Lean, who did all of the drawings for NBC, favors a gesture style of courtroom drawing, whereas some go for more of a photographic likeness. And also,
there is a feeling of movement and action in there. People frequently have their hands raised, or the judge is moving his hands, or Timothy McVeigh is wiping a tear from his eye.
While his mother reads the prepared statement there. And then also the bombing, I mean the actual physical activity of the bombing itself.
And the drawings capture, not only affect emotion or memories of emotion, they capture emotional moments within the trial as well. Okay, this one works. What about this, like, salt or something on the ground, and then you can run a roller over it, and it makes writing?
Right.
I got the motion part here.
Okay, this is actually by Amy Breyer. She's an artist from Indiana, and it's sand with a limestone roller, and the roller has been engraved with script, although it's illegible. So
no wonder I can't read it.
Yes.
But it's a beautiful script. She's a good writer and a good engraver.
Right, definitely. It's not. I imagine that would be fairly difficult to do.
It must be.
In limestone.
That roller probably weighs more than your child, I would think.
Yes, at this point it does.
How much
he's quickly approaching.
Is he? How much does that roller weigh?
The roller is probably about 50 pounds, and my child is 19.
Okay.
Someday
we'll
he'll
be
weigh
back
that much.
at the DePaul Art Gallery to celebrate. What the name of your child is?
Lorenzo Philip.
Lorenzo Philip Tavani's 50-pound anniversary.
Maybe we'll roll him around in some sand.
Right. Okay, but where's the emotion then? The viewer wondering if he's gone blind and his inability to make out the script that only Bob Tavani knows is actually illegible?
I'm glad you picked up on the serious aspect. No, writing in the sand. You know, sort of writing in the sand.
Yeah. And, his was a name writ on water. I mean, we are all but dust in the wind.
Right. And the fact that it is so temporary. Of course, in nature it'd be more temporary, but it's usually re-rolled every day. It's stepped on and such.
Do you do the rolling?
I don't.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
I did the original rolling. But
You've got somebody, Lee
Artsberger does the rolling.
Lee Artsberger comes in. She does the rolling around here at the DePaul University Art Gallery. It's in a lovely setting. If you've not been up here, the Art Gallery has been given a recent kind of relaunch and a reactivation in McGaw Hall, one of the academic buildings on the Lincoln Park campus of DePaul University, 802 West Belden. You enter the complex here off of Belden and Halstead, and it's a 60s building, isn't it?
It is.
It's got a real retro feel.
Yeah, and the front people refer to as the cheese grater front.
I think that was the architect's intention. I think he was a big admirer of cheese graters, and now it's all come around. And in the year or so that Bob Tavani was here at the gallery as director, he was shaking things up and doing a lot of interesting contemporary exhibitions and also exhibitions, including this one. This one isn't motivated by politics, but ones that dealt with intersections of politics and art, ethnicity and art and so on. And you have recently passed on the baton.
Yes, it's been passed on to Louise Lincoln, who took over September 1st, and I'm back to teaching in the art department now.
And if you were to bring a group of, say, first-year art students to see this show, and it may have happened, it may continue to happen during the run of this show, what would you want them to come away with?
I wouldn't want them to take any of the artwork with them. But,
and they're a rough crew, art students.
They are.
Tattooed, pierced, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
especially here at DePaul. Yeah. But I guess what I would want them to take away with them is to realize the power that art has as it's sort of artificial power. The fact that art can evoke so many things, even though it is a static object or static image. Everything in this exhibit is basically static, besides the video, besides the things that you see on TV, and yet. And not only is it static, but it's primarily black and white and grays and very subdued color.
Right, and you've given a gray wall to the whole.
It's got a gray wall, hoping that the viewers would come in and not just be sort of bombarded with emotional color and movement, but would have to think about something and anticipate its powers.
Well, no piece could be probably in the show more static and more triggering of emotions than what we're standing here is kind of, it looks like a Chicago homage to Jeff Koons or something. It looks like we have a glass old dial telephone, an old dial telephone rendered in glass or plexiglass, and like the kind of pistol that a pistol packing hoodlum might have packed in a Philip Marlowe story or something aimed at it. All of these larger than life.
These are pieces by Scott Darlington, who's a Seattle artist, and he's represented by Porsche Gallery here in Chicago. And they are formed glass.
He makes the glass guns, and here he's got the glass gun with the glass foam.
Yeah, and he does glass vacuum cleaners.
Show. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, at Aaron Packer. Yeah. and these are, most people think they're cast, as I did, but they're actually formed while they're hot. So
it's not an easy, for those of you who are trying this at home, it is not easy to form glass sculpture.
Don't put any glass in your microwave and try to make a gun out of it.
Right, but it's amazing because so much violence art and gun art, which has become quite common of late, is so obvious that it doesn't work. It doesn't work on an emotional basis, and this does.
What I liked about Scott's pieces is that they are primarily clear, and the glass has, even though they're big, sort of heavy objects, especially the telephone cord, has such a fragile quality. And then we paired together the gun and the phone, so it may imply that something happened with the gun, and then there's a response with the phone.
We're talking with Bob Tavani, curator of Motional and director emeritus of the DePaul University Art Gallery.
Oh, I'm sure a lot of people will be happy to hear that.
If Aaron were with us, actually I should say Aaron is here, but he's just rendered speechless by the show. But if Aaron were with us, he would say, well, can't you have some things where you just somebody draws a person? In fact, Bob Tavani has anticipated just such a question from the "Is this art?" crowd, and you got a drawn lady here.
Right. This is a life-size self-portrait by Renee Kleisek Nordstrom. And this work deals a little more sort of indirectly with Renee's main issue in a lot of her art, which is being an incest survivor. And she expresses a lot of her feelings through her artwork about that. This one is called Survivor, and it is a nude self-portrait life-size.
But it's an interesting self-portrait because it's a kind of, it's an interesting nude because it's a kind of anti-nude.
Yes.
Nudes which might have at some point either seemed shocking or traditional, depending upon who's looking at them and in what culture and society. Here we are in an exhibit where we would probably expect to walk in and see a live nude person. This is a nude where she has covered her private areas below and also the tops of her breasts above. So it's a nude of protection in a way rather than a nude of invitation.
Right. It definitely is. And I think also the fact that it's called Survivor, both of those ideas reflect back to the incest issue.
We have barely scratched the surface of this show, which is truly multimedia. We have a neo-graffiti work of design. We have things painted in actually, why don't we end with this piece here that is painted, again, in a traditional style of painting and incorporates a mode of transportation known well to people in Chicago, rail transportation of some sort. I won't venture to guess if this is an actual corner that an actual train is rounding. It is? Or you aren't going to venture to guess either?
No.
All right, I got the motion here, though. Where's the E motion?
Well, this is called Trestle by Nick Bridge, and it is an image of either a CTA train or Amtrak going under a trestle. And, this was a subjective thing on my part, and I just associate so much emotion with the CTA because I take it every day, and sometimes it's a great experience, sometimes it's not. And then the fact that it's also by Design's graffiti piece,
right.
I think there can be an interesting connection set up there.
To have a graffiti piece next to a painting of a graffiti-less train.
And I like the way you called Design's piece neo-graffiti because it's almost a graffiti piece about, or a piece about graffiti. It's actually educational and almost tongue-in-cheek graffiti.
And so, dear listener, we take you back to the studios of WBEZ on Navy Pier, Chicago. We want to thank